This episode of our podcast is brought to you by Dulaban Insurance. If you live in Ontario, Canada, and are looking for the best price and coverage for your Tesla, give Dulaban a call at 1-855-385-4226 or visit their website at dulabaninsurance.com/Tesla. Welcome, everyone. We're doing another Tesla Owners Online podcast. Thank you for joining. We've got a big crew with us tonight. We've got Eric, we've got Ian, and we have DJ from Tesla Tidbits, and we have Raj from Tesla Raj. How's everybody doing tonight?
Living the dream.
Surviving, that was a key word.
Surviving.
Well, we haven't done a show in a couple of weeks. The last one we did was talking about some of the Q1 numbers. But things have been a little quiet now because the Fremont factory has been closed since about March 15th. But, never a dull day sometimes. And Elon took to Twitter and, there's been a lot of stuff going on. So we are going to do a deep dive on some of the stuff that Elon has said and some of the things that have been happening with Alameda. But before I get into that, we want to do a little bit of house cleaning, and we'll talk about a couple of important articles that will come out. By the way, I should do a little public service announcement because this is going to go on our YouTube channel as well. We're going to have a lot of opinions on this show a little bit later in the show from all of our guests, including myself. So I just want to let everybody know on Twitter, or specifically YouTube, that if you're going to go to the comments, please keep it respectable. Please be respectful. Just because somebody has a different opinion doesn't mean it gives you a right to call them every name in the book. And anyways, having said that, let's move on. A couple of important tweets that came out today, courtesy of our friend Jay in Shanghai, who broke some news today. He says, straight off the production line into the showroom in China, Model 3s made in China now have USB 3 ports, USB-C, I should say, USB-C ports in the back where the passenger is. Here, I got a picture. I'll bring that up here so you guys can see. There you go. So just like Model Y, it has two USB-C ports in the back, and the front cubby where you put in your USB keys, for Sentry mode and stuff. The left-hand port is now USB-C as well. So I think it's just a matter of time before we see that in North America. Matter of fact, during the shutdown, there's a good chance they might have even switched over. So any Model 3s being made off the production line when they get in customers' hands, maybe we'll know if they've been switched over. Anyway, not that big of a deal in the grand scheme of things, but it is Tesla after all, and they are making changes as they go. Also, from our friend Jay in Shanghai, announced that the first batch of Model 3s made in China long-range rear-wheel drive is officially off the production line in the Gigafactory in Shanghai ahead of schedule. Up until recently, Tesla was only making the Standard Range Plus, and the Performance Model 3s will come later. I would suspect probably sometime later this year. So looks like Tesla's ahead of schedule on the Chinese factory. So it's looking good for those guys. Certainly been making some changes during some shutdown to start producing some other cars. So that's what we have as far as that news is concerned. But a big story broke today. This is courtesy of Reuters. And I'm going to bring up the article here, and I'm going to read you some important bits. So they say exclusive, Tesla's secret battery aim to rework the math for electric cars and the grid. So Tesla plans to introduce a new low-cost, long-life battery in the Model 3 sedan in China later this year or early next year that it expects to bring low-cost vehicles, electric vehicles, in line with gasoline models. This is the cost parity thing that people have been talking about for quite some time now. And they will allow EV batteries to have a second life for use in electric power grids later on. So the new million-mile, quote, battery is the center of Tesla's strategy, and it was jointly developed by China's contemporary Amperex technology, also known as CATL or CATL. Tesla plans to launch the battery first in China, and Tesla's new batteries will rely on innovations such as low-cost cobalt-free battery chemistries and the use of chemical additives, materials, and coatings that will reduce internal stress and enable batteries to be more energy efficient for longer periods. This is coming courtesy of the developments in conjunction with Jeff Don at Dalhousie University in Nova Scotia. So Battery Day is looking really good. If this stuff comes out, this is what we're looking at. This is the one thing, the paragraph that really caught my attention. They say that the cost of CATL's cobalt-free lithium-ion iron phosphate battery packs have fallen below $80 per kilowatt hour, with the cost of the battery cells dropping below 60 kilowatt hours. The sources have said CATL's low-cost NMC battery packs are close to $100 per kilowatt hour. It's generally understood in the automotive industry for quite some time now that battery packs that reach the 100 kilowatt hour at the density level basically puts electric cars on par with gasoline cars as far as the drivetrain components are concerned. So once we reach that level, it's game over. EVs have won at that point. So this is looking really good. And Elon's been making quite a bit of illusions lately on Twitter that it's going to be shaping up to be a pretty big day. So I expect a few different things to be happening on Battery Day. He did say recently that, well, actually on the earnings call, that they're hoping to hold it either Nevada or Texas. Which leads us into the second part of our conversation here today. Any comments on this before we get into the real meat and potatoes?
Can't wait for Battery Day.
Right.
Yeah.
My general feelings on all of this stuff when it comes to renewable energies specifically is that it's not a surprise that the costs keep getting lower and lower and the resources become cheaper and cheaper. We're seeing it in solar technology, we're seeing it in wind turbine technology, and now we're seeing it in automotive battery technology for electric vehicles. So as long as this technology advancements continue, as long as the prices keep getting lower and lower, the argument gets really hard for people who are legacy owners to say, well, they're really more expensive over time because you have to pay for electricity, et cetera, et cetera. Like, but if the batteries are more efficient and they can actually put out better production than gasoline can, and we're not having to utilize fossil fuels to do that very thing, then yeah, it's hard to make the argument that they're actually worthwhile. So we may start seeing more legacy automakers really make the transition and say, yeah, we're going to cease gasoline vehicle production in the next maybe 10, 15, 20 years, which is the hope.
The other thing you got to keep in mind is that this is Tesla. Nobody else is reaching this level yet.
That's exactly what I was going to...
So while it's nice to hear these numbers, all it means is that Tesla is going to be able to reach there before anybody else. Now, whether Tesla can leverage that and actually drive the cost of the current cars down remains to be seen. I've gone on record, said before, that the Cybertruck is a perfect example of battery cost savings that have to happen in order to get that price down. That's the first example of something like that. Now, they did say that they plan on building a design center in China to make cars for the worldwide market. So out of there, I would suspect in due time, maybe 2, maybe 3 years, we'll see, maybe some cheaper cars out of Tesla, something cheaper than the Model 3 that can probably really drive the cost down even below the $35,000 mark.
I mean, do you guys think it's even within the realm of possibility that Tesla could become a battery supplier to other manufacturers? I mean, there's nothing that would prohibit them from doing that, or perhaps even sharing some of their patents, just like Volvo did with their 3-point safety belt system back in the 60s. Like, if you believe it's for the better good of the global environment, why not make some of that stuff public? You can certainly have some rights held to you, but if you realize that it's part of your mission, which is to really accelerate the world towards sustainable energy, why not be one of the leaders in battery technology for other manufacturers all the same?
I think the patent thing is probably the most likely route on that, because they're already supply constrained anyhow, right? Mm-hmm. So they're not going to be able to make it for other folks. What I'd like to see them do is kind of a hybrid of that, where obviously it's doing, advancing sustainable transport and energy and everything is the mission of the company. Maybe a hybrid a bit where you have a little bit of a license fee to license that technology, so you're recovering a little bit of what you did for the research and development, and it's still going to be better than any of the other companies out there are going to put out, and at a much less of a cost than what they would have put out as well. So everybody ends up winning in that.
It sounds to me like, there've been discussions. They've talked to other OEMs about this, both, for the actual technology in the cars and the charging network, because that was another big one, right? It's like, from day one, Elon said, if anybody wants to partner with us on the supercharging network, hey, come on in. And every time somebody showed up and knocked on the door, it's like, well, we just like to change this pin configuration, or maybe a way that talks to, no, you don't understand. You got to be able to plug in and go. So, and like working with 6 different OEMs myself, let me tell you, they are so particular. Everybody's got their little silo on how they want to do things. That's really a big stopping point in a lot of these discussions. To DJ's point, though, I don't think at this point it's kind of moot, because they can't really produce anything more than what they're doing now. But I could see in a few years, if they still maintain this outrageous lead, at some point that would kind of happen.
Like Terafactories up.
Yeah, there you go. Once you start reaching that scale, imagine them just pumping out the skateboards, and everybody else can add their bodywork, interior, I could easily see that happening.
I mean, sharing is caring, right?
It's true.
Would that not be full circle though? They started off getting the skateboards from Lotus, and now they're giving skateboards to other companies. That'd be kind of fun.
The circle
that would only really work, I think, once Tesla gets their manufacturing beyond the capacity that they need. And right now, they're not even close to being able to build enough cars, even to supply the demand that they have now. So, wishful thinking, we really like to see Tesla be able to share their technology and be an OEM for other people, but I don't see it happening. They're so they're supply constrained. They can't build. I mean, they're still building factories, for crying out loud. They just can't meet demand. So, maybe in the future, but right now I just don't see it. And as far as the patents are concerned, this whole thing with Battery Day, that's going to be so proprietary. They're not going to let anybody behind the curtain on that. That's they spent a lot of money buying companies, hiring Jeff Don, who's been on the team now for a number of years. I don't see that going anywhere. I mean, that's pretty proprietary stuff going on. Don't forget, just about every other manufacturer right now is relying on LG or Samsung. Very little on well, some people are using a little bit of Panasonic, but Panasonic's pretty much tied up with Tesla at this point. So, when they have to deal with those suppliers, they can't get the costs down because they have to pay yet another supplier. Tesla's going vertical, and this is something we can talk about here because part of Battery Day is, well, he may or may not reveal it, but we know through sources that Tesla is working on vertical integration. They bought a company here where I live, not about 15 minutes away here in Vaughan, that actually specializes in manufacturing cells. So Tesla has an internal project where they're actually building cells with their own chemistry. So Tesla wants to go vertical. So in combination with the cell chemistry that they've developed, these new processes, that'll just drive the cost down because they can pass those savings on to the customer, hopefully anyways, and not turn it into more profits, but that's kind of the thing. So that's we're looking forward to Battery Day. If things hold, Elon said that sometime maybe around the third week of May it might happen. So we'll keep an eye on that. We still don't have an official date announcement. I know lots of people have been poking and prodding him on Twitter to see if we can get anything out of that. But when they're ready to announce that, they will. Now, as far as where they're going to hold this thing, he's given us two hints, right? Nevada at the Gigafactory, and Texas of all places. Now, Tesla doesn't have a facility in Texas. Elon has been spending a lot of time in Texas on two fronts. One of them is SpaceX because they're building rockets in Boca Chica. He's spending most of his time there. And he's been courting, I don't know how many places in Texas, but we know that Austin has been one of the potential places to build this other gigafactory that they want to build to supply Cybertruck. Although I will go as far to say that it's more than just Cybertruck at this point. So I think we spend a little time here and talk about some of the stuff that's actually gone on. So it's no mystery that Tesla's factory has been shut down since about March 15th, and they just reopened, what was it, on Friday, guys? Was it?
It was over the weekend. It was late last week into
over the weekend. Yeah,
officially Monday.
It was Monday. Yeah.
Oh, Monday. I'm sorry. I lost track of my days here. This COVID thing has really got me. Yes, exactly. So the bottom line here is, obviously, it's been pretty public that Elon's been very upset about how things have been handled, not only at the government level, but also in Alameda County, where Tesla's factory is located. The governor, the president has all given them green lights to open back up. And here we are in Alameda, and they basically said no. Now, here's what's surprising to me, and correct me if I'm wrong, but you think somebody in Alameda would have been paying attention to Tesla opening their factory in China and having already dealt with this kind of thing before?
That's my frustration with this. Of all the companies anywhere that has the experience to do this right, they have that company in their backyard. Like, you wouldn't, maybe they might go to them and ask them what happened in China and maybe ask for advice. Maybe.
I don't know. Maybe they have blinders on. It didn't happen here.
Well, it's funny that you lead with that point, Trev, because 14 minutes ago, Elon put out 3 more tweets saying, absolutely, Tesla already went through this in China with 7,000 employees, 0 fatalities or serious illness. SpaceX has 8,000 employees in California, Washington, Texas, and Florida, operating this entire time as we have national security exemption, 0 deaths or serious illnesses. I mean, what better record could you ask for? That's incredible. I mean, it seems to me they kind of know what they're doing.
All right. First of all, The blind idea that you're going to look at, well, in hindsight, we can look back at the number of employees we have and how many of those were sick and how many died. Yeah, well, the quarantine's a big part of that, right? Like, they weren't having normal operations since March 15th. So the numbers are going to be good if people were already feeling healthy before they were quarantined, and now they've been quarantined. If they really abided by government ordinances to stay home and not be out in public without masks and PPE and things like that, yeah, your odds of getting sick are actually not that great. But with that being said, like, California as a whole, its fatality rate is over 4%, right? Alameda County is around 3.5%. So it's just below the state average, but that's still a pretty high number. San Francisco County, the neighboring county in Alameda, has a sub 2% fatality rate. Now, granted, they certainly have about half the population of Alameda, but still, the fatality rate is even more than half of that, or about half of that, as Alameda. So we can certainly look at the numbers and the metrics all we want to. Where I live here in Palm Beach County, Florida, our numbers are terrible compared to Alameda. But at the same time, it's like every state's different, every county is different, every municipality is different. So I don't fault Alameda's health officials to say, yeah, we don't think we're ready yet. And even if the companies themselves, no matter how big or small they may be, say, no, we're ready. We have the safeguards in place. We got the protections available, et cetera, et cetera. It doesn't matter. You are a business that is in that jurisdiction. If some official says you cannot open your doors, it's that simple. Even if you tout, we're the best and we're ready for this, it doesn't matter. Elon's favorite day of the week is Sue's Day, right? He just loves the idea, with all the resources he has, to just like throw everything. He can throw the book at county, right? He can throw the book at anybody because they have all the money and all the power there is in the world. At the same time, why are you literally browbeating on social media a city employee, a county employee in this case in Alameda, to benefit what? Like, if your ultimate goal is to reopen your doors, there is a very pleasant way of going about it. But to do this publicly, to me, was very, very it was a bad look by all accounts. Yes, everyone's afflicted. We know the numbers are bad, right? We know that there are people dying. America still has a lot of issues. If you're watching this on YouTube, Raj's temperature is too high, which means
he's getting really mad.
I was just going to say, I will panic attack.
Right. Terrible timing on Raj's part.
He'll be back in a second.
Got a good temp check. But anyway, but in all seriousness, like, for him to tweet this stuff out now, like, the data's great. My company, we have a 100% healthy rate. It doesn't matter because where I'm at, we have a stay-at-home order in my county, despite the rest of Florida having the freedom to kind of like start going to a restaurant if they want to at 25% capacity. So it's still, it's a complete, utter blindness on his part to think like, listen, we got this, we're cool. But it's not just what happens to your employees when they leave the factory. Like, you can do everything you want while they're there, but when they leave, are they going to have the same protection and benefits? Like, you're threatening them, we're not going to give you any healthcare coverage. We're not going to give any benefits to you if you don't come to work and if you don't follow the rules. Like, that's a hard thing to do. Like, the employees are then being forced to have to come to work, even though they may say, but I'm also concerned that we're not ready yet. It's a weird place to be in, and there's no right or wrong about it. But I thought the public perception of this was really poorly handled by him.
So, temperature check for everyone. Pardon the idiom there. Are we all in agreement that terrible idea to reopen against the county order? Are we all on the same page there?
Yeah.
Yes.
Even if it's just a question of optics, it really kind of sets back the image of the whole thing badly.
There's two things that really caught me. First of all, I understand Elon's mad, but the problem is he's not sharing information. Yeah. So if you're mad and you have conversations with the county and then you get so mad at them, the fact that now you're going to sue them, well, what happens when you sue? You stop all communications, or it basically comes to a grinding halt.
Yeah.
Right? So now they're not going to talk to you. So then then they put out, after his little tantrum that he has, they go and post a blog post on Tesla's website. And if you read it, it's basically Elon writes the thing. Elon's a very good writer when he sits down. And then they post this getting back to work piece of paperwork. Like, why wouldn't you publish that before you sued all that stuff? Like, lay it all out. Why do you have to show it after the fact? If you're ready to go to work and you want to make your case, put it out in the public and then show Alameda, but don't throw a tantrum and then show it after the fact to say, yeah, well, here we go. They did it completely backwards. They shouldn't have done it.
The local paper in that area, the Mercury News, I forgot who the journalist was, so forgive me, but there was a story that came out a few days ago when this all started to materialize, and it was a chronological recap of what happened over the course of the last several days. It led to the finding of, okay, we're going to now settle on this. We're going to agree to go back to work. And one of the things that they pointed out was Elon's relatively weird online behavior in the last several months that started with his saying that the response to the pandemic was quote unquote dumb, right? And sort of the comments after that, how it doesn't affect children, all these different things that he tweeted, the numbers going down near zero, all that stuff, all the things that he said that we now know are factually incorrect in every which way. So when you're looking at these series of tweets all kind of put together, it tells a very interesting story about how this all goes. And in large part, it feels like Elon from the very outset felt like we shouldn't have been subjected to this. Many other people should have had their jobs furloughed. They shouldn't have had their doors closed. We should have just been able to kind of adjust to this and not have the adverse reaction we did. And the problem is when you then say, but look at our numbers of all the employees we have and the percentage who've been sick, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah, that's again ignoring the reality that it's what the reaction was by leadership, government leadership, and saying we're going to shutter down our state, we're going to shutter down these areas, that led to these healthy numbers that you're reporting. And he's got this massive disconnect between one and the other. Whatever reality he's living in is not ours. And he needs to understand that when you have elected leaders, and those elected leaders appoint people to be the deciders in a case like this where we have a global pandemic, those health officials, those scientists, those doctors, nurses, first responders, et cetera, that's my main focus. Not whether or not you can actually produce a battery on the line on a Tuesday. And his focus has been solely on the business and not anything else. If he wanted to, for example, he could have, when he got his big payout bonus after Q1, he could have said, I'm going to pay for employees who right now can't work for 2 weeks' pay or whatever it was. He could have elected to, with the company's resources or his own resources, to do more for Tesla employees and SpaceX employees, et cetera. He didn't. Now, granted, it's his money. It's his choice. I'm sure some will argue that. But all he's done was point the finger at everyone but him for why they're in that situation. And rather than work with people, all he's done is browbeat people as a bully does, trying to get what he wants. And if he doesn't, he basically turns into this impish child in a public sphere and then wonders why there's such negative press on him.
And then he has the martyr tweet. Well, if you're going to arrest anybody, it better be me. All right, Elon, you're going a little further. I mean, that was a bait trap, because it would have been good PR.
Mm-hmm. But I
that was a no-win for Alameda County.
Oh yeah, of course.
Once
Absolutely.
he did that,
of course,
yeah.
No. There was
that was calculated. He knew he was doing.
He knew exactly how to box them in. Raj, you've been awfully quiet down there in the corner. I want to hear what your take is on this.
He can't hear us.
He can't hear us.
Raj has been having some technical issues this evening. We apologize for that. He will come back.
Oh, okay. He's still working on it. Oh, okay.
So I'll be the maybe the unpopular opinion puffin in the room here. Then
that's okay.
So while I completely agree on Elon's behavior, this was a terrible tack to take. I completely get the frustration he's got, because at least for me, what I got from what we've been sold on why we're doing the shutdowns, right? It was flatten the curve, make sure we're not overwhelming healthcare, overwhelming the healthcare system. That was the whole goal of this, right? And you have the state of California saying, we're good, open manufacturing, it's great, we're going to do that. And Alameda County saying, no, we're not going to do that. When in their own jurisdiction, according to one of a Berkeley council person, that's where I got the tweet from on this, cases are declining, hospitalization is flat. So you've accomplished the goal. And if you've accomplished the goal, why are you overriding the state mandate? Like, please give a good reason for that. And again, completely inexcusing Elon's behavior was not excusable on this. Just terrible idea to go against the government order. But I get it, especially so. Transfer this a little bit out of Alameda County. Full disclosure, I work for a healthcare organization in IT. My wife is an emergency room nurse. And I can say firsthand, I'm being furloughed because we don't have enough patients. We didn't get near the COVID patients that we were projecting and making sure that we had the capacity for. And actually, my wife right now has been told to, she had a shift starting at 9 o'clock. She's been told to stay home for low census because they don't need her. I think there's a few places in the country that is not true, that they are getting creamed, and we know that. And that's the kind of the problem with this is it's really local.
Sorry.
Hang up, Meg. It's really local to where the situation is handled. So it's kind of a catch-22, because I agree kind of that the counties probably are the best place to hold it, like to make the decision, because they're going to know what's going on. But I think in Elon's frustration is valid, because at least what I have seen from the publicly available data that I've got, the goal is accomplished. So why are things still shuttered? And if I were living in that county, I'd be frustrated as a resident too.
Yeah, a lot of great points there, Duke, and I certainly align with a lot of them as well regarding the response. Now, I do say that Gavin Newsom was asked about this in a press conference not too long ago. I think it was in the last couple of days he was asked about it, the response with Alameda. And he had said that that the counties themselves do have the right to make stricter responses than what we, the state at large, want to do. So he knows that, yes, ideally, we and my staff, we want to see things start to reopen with very, very smart decisions on how to do that. Like, it's a very phased reopening and very gradual. Because I'm sure Gavin's a smart guy. California is the 5th largest economy in the world. So we know there's a lot of things that they're very cognizant of. And one of those is they've seen other states across the U.S. when they have started their reopenings, like Georgia, for example, where they saw a spike in numbers shortly after reopening, in large part because, and we've seen a lot of videos of it. There was actually, I want to say it was in San Diego. There was a video of like a coffee bar or a restaurant, something like that, just packed with patrons. Yeah. No one's wearing a mask. No one's wearing PPE.
And they're not following rules.
So what I'm saying is that while Elon and Tesla can say in a press release, this is what we're going to do as we reopen, if Alameda County representatives, forget Alameda for a second, if any county elected officials or health officials designate that the numbers, while they are declining, if we're not seeing consistent declines at a certain rate over a 2-week period, or we're not seeing our fatality rate drop below a certain metric, they may elect to just continue to kind of hold things down, despite the rest of the state or other counties having a different response. And I think, to your point, yeah, they're allowed to have that decision. Now, granted, would we like more transparency to understand the reasoning behind all this? Absolutely. Really putting out there the reason why you're electing to hold stricter standards in the response than your neighboring counties might help make this lesser of an argument, because then people go, okay, now I understand. Maybe you want to have your fatality rate drop below 3%. Maybe you want to have certain numbers in the hospitals. In one way, while it's terrible that you and your wife are in the circumstance, I also look at it as a blessing in disguise, because that means we are, in fact, handling this better, that less people are, in fact, getting sick and going to the hospital. So it's a lot to take in. I just always looked at it that the petulance that Elon exhibited throughout the entire incident didn't help matters at all. Had he been more forthcoming, more amenable to what the county was doing, then maybe things could have been worked out sooner. But I think once you put up a resistance, you put up a wall to whatever changes are coming, then likely the other side's going to go, all right, we're going to keep coming at you then. Because you're clearly not grasping the severity of this. And I don't think he really did from the very outset. And his tweets certainly exemplify that.
I think in a lot of cases, Elon was really taking this personally.
Yeah.
Oh, it's vastly that. And what sort of complements that is if you listened or watched him on Joe Rogan last week, you can definitely see there's an element of that. You know, it comes through clearly that it just bothers him deeply that he thinks that there's vast overreaction to the severity of the virus. And when I broke down what he was saying on Rogan's show, there's a lot of it I agree with. I don't think this disease is anywhere near as fatal as we think it is in terms of percentage. The problem is it's insanely contagious. So even if it only has the same, effective death rate as the flu, the fact that it's 10 times more
people are getting it.
Exactly is what drives the problem. But yeah, just to come full circle on it, I think what it is why did Alameda feel Tesla wasn't safe to open? That's what we all want to know. You know, that's obviously what was really getting at Elon. There must have been something going on behind the scenes. They were being unreasonable or dragging their feet, or I don't know what it is, but there's something that really set him off. And I mean, the worst thing he could have done is come out of the sledgehammer the way he did. But I got to think that, given the safety record and the experience they have, and the plan they have in place, I mean, my God, have you all read that 38-page plan?
Yeah, that thing is nuts.
And it refers to 19 other documents. I mean, this thing is military grade. There's no inspector on earth that could look at that and say, nah, you forgot. I really don't see that. So I want to know what it is Alameda was wanting, or
well, the problem is that all we know is that it was published to the public. I mean, did they actually submit that?
Right.
All we know is that
why wouldn't they
released it after the fact, after they decided to sue.
Right.
That would seem odd if they didn't.
The question I have too is, a lot of this dialogue is a bit about Alameda versus Tesla, but Alameda is a county. Tesla's not the only business in Alameda County. There could be other metrics and other things we're not aware of. And GJ was right. Like, if you disclose that more publicly, maybe there's something that you're tracking or something you can see that makes us then go, now we understand it. But Tesla is the largest, one of the largest employers in all of Alameda County. So it's fair to say, like, they're going to be the target, but they're not the only company that's going to argue, hey, I understand why you're being stricter, but why does it have to be us? And and Tesla's making it about them, and it is.
They did release a press release. Trevor, I threw it to the chat in case you want to throw it on screen.
Thank you.
But today they did actually show what the indicators were that they wanted, and it was, for those on audio, it is hospital cases and flatter to decreasing, sufficient surge capacity, which they're all over, and same thing on the hospitalizations. They're in the very good metric there. Sufficient testing capacity, sufficient disease containment, and sufficient PPE are the three categories they don't feel they're good on yet. And I know I've seen on the Twitterverse some folks beating the drum about testing capacity being a big deal. And I haven't seen PPE be as much, but they still have the second to worst rating on both testing and PPE. So yeah, I mean, they did come out with their metrics, at least finally, day late and a dollar short.
Yeah.
I mean, and the testing part's a really big component of this. For example, in the White House, we talked about, they're getting tests on a more frequent rate than most other Americans are getting. And, here it is. We have the president who earlier had talked about some of his staffers. It's like, oh, well, this person tested negative. And all of a sudden one day, poof, they're positive. And he can't seem to understand it. Like, they're always being tested. How did this happen? Like, it's not a conspiracy. That's just how viruses work, right? Like, we're at the mercy of the virus. I mean, Ian was spot on right. Like, this is something that's so potent and so dangerous that it could take one employee at Tesla to not wash their hands thoroughly enough, to forget to put a glove on correctly, to grab a doorknob, to use a tool, whatever it is, and be asymptomatic for several days, has that, on average 5-day incubation period. And all of a sudden, now they're sick. The problem is, in those 5 days before their symptoms show up, they're getting it. I mean, hell, in South Korea, where there was a gentleman who had gone out to clubs after the ordinances were lifted. They went out to a couple dance clubs, and now over 1,000 people have been exposed to the virus over one night of going out, because he went out with no PPE whatsoever. So yes, we're seeing it in other places. So for Alameda to take what I think is the safeguard approach is not terrible. JJ's right. Having these numbers, having this kind of PDF come out this late is not helpful. Like, having it sooner would have been a better argument for them to stand on. That would have given a lot of credence to why they did what they did. But at the same time, there are certain metrics they're looking at that say, yeah, we're not ready. The state may be, but we're deciding that it's actually better for our citizens that we don't go there just yet.
How much do you think Tesla, I should say Elon, takes this personally when he says in the tweet, Tesla is the only car company that's not been allowed to open?
You think that might be a little bit? Yeah. No, it's true.
That's part of it too.
I've been tracking the industry since day one, and virtually everybody else is open now. If you go to autonews.com, they actually have an interactive map you can click on, and you can see throughout all the 48 lower states which assembly plants are open. They're virtually all either open now or they will be on Monday. Like 95% of them will say, like there's and I think it's FCA's got one plant they're waiting till June 1st, and Nissan's the only one that's pushed off their plants. They're holding back a little bit, but they're really the only one. Everybody else is either up and running or will be in a couple of days. So that's got to hurt. However, none of them are located in California. So, you got it really is a regional thing, but it always comes back to, if I'm a guy who's running these companies like SpaceX and Tesla in China, and I've got a total of 15,000 employees, and I've got 0 fatalities and 0 serious cases because of the work that I've done to make sure that my employees are protected, and I've got this guy from Alameda telling me, no, we're really not sure if you know how to do this, or we're not confident in the safety level or whatever. And I'm going, well, wait a minute, I've been doing this for 2 months now in these horrible conditions, and I've got 0 fatalities and 0 over 15,000 pieces. I mean, you got to figure that's a little frustrating.
FineLab has a line of protective coatings that were engineered to protect your Tesla's paint, leather, carpet, plastic, and wheels, effectively blocking all those UV rays and environmental factors before they ever get to ruin your brand new baby. FineLab offers a complete line of car care products and ceramic coatings for both the do-it-yourselfer and professional detailers. Did we mention we also have the world's first self-healing coating? Check us out at finelab.com, that's spelled FEYNLAB, to see the science behind the self-healing. Check out our product catalog and click Contact Us for a free quote from a certified installer in your area. FineLab and Tesla, we were meant for each other. It's upsetting him. Which also brings me to the second point, and I think this is the part we need to talk about it, because Elon said this is the last straw. Effective immediately, we are moving our design and headquarters to either Nevada or Texas. So, I understand he's frustrated, but when you say something like that...
That's a pretty serious throwdown.
That's I don't think that is how can I word this? I don't think that is a spur of the moment decision. Now the reason I say that is, and I wrote an article, a little blog post on the on our forum on my thoughts about this, because when you look at Elon, we all know Elon's the kind of guy who thinks 5-6 years down the future. I mean, he's not always about today. He doesn't make rash decisions. I mean, he will make rash decisions, but something of this caliber, I don't think is just drop of the hat. This is something I think that's been brewing for some time. Now, the reason I say that is, and I am speculating a little bit here, but it's educated speculation. Now, the reason I say that is because if you look at Tesla's history, the reason that they're in California wasn't necessarily by choice.
It's chance.
Right? They started in California because that's where the two founders really were. But when they first started making the Roadster, they just basically they were leasing an old Ford dealership to do final assembly. I mean, the cars were made, in England, and they were just doing battery pack and drivetrain installations there. But during the Model S development, they were looking at buying land because they knew they had to make a factory. They were looking in Arizona. They weren't married to California at the time. They were going to go to Arizona. Elon has said many times in the last few years, Tesla's headquarters in Palo Alto are too small. They need to move. They need to go to somewhere else. And then he starts dropping hints like, oh, we're going to hold Battery Day maybe in Texas. I'm spending a lot of time in Texas. I'm selling my houses in California. Mm-hmm. Did I say Battery Day? Yeah, Battery Day. Mm-hmm. We're looking at building a factory maybe in Texas. I think the writing's on the wall. This has been something that's been in the works for quite some time, and this was just literally the last straw, and is to say, you know what, that's it. We got to get out of California. You have to remember, when they bought the Fremont factory, that was almost handed to them on a silver platter because of their association with Toyota at the time when they were making the drivetrains for the RAV4. They didn't have the money. That factory was valued on the books at about $2 billion. They bought it for $42 million they bought that factory for. Now, they spent about $460 million with a DOE loan, to refurbish it and, get it ready for Model S. And they've since invested a lot of money there. But that factory's paid off. It doesn't own anything necessarily, at least from a land standpoint and stuff. They still have, capital costs to pay off over the next few years and stuff. But anyways, the bottom line here is my speculation is he's so mad now that he's really going to make this decision. I have a feeling, I don't know, like I said, it's just a gut thing, that this Battery Day may coincide, if all things work well, with a possible announcement of the Gigafactory in Texas being built. Let's just call it Austin, for example. However, the only fly in the ointment here is, we all know, Texas doesn't allow Tesla to sell their cars direct. And to me, Elon's a smart guy. He would be hanging that over as a carrot, saying, you got to change your legislation.
I
right,
bet we all
they do
can
anything.
agree that Texas has got to play ball there before Elon's going to build anything in Texas.
Exactly. So my thinking is that this is where they really want to be. Texas has, I mean, it's way cheaper cost of living, especially if the employees want to move over there. They can get land cheaper. If they build this factory as big, if not bigger than what they're doing in Berlin, have you guys seen the pictures of how big Berlin is?
It's massive.
It's way bigger than Fremont. So I'm just going to speculate here. If they do end up building something that size in California, in Texas, that will handle not only Cybertruck, but S, X, 3, Y, anything else they want. Let's say they make it big enough. When that is all up and running, I could potentially see Tesla eventually selling Fremont and saying, that's it, we're done. We're out of California.
I hate everything about this story. I hate everything
Let's talk about
this story.
I think he's so mad with California. He can't do it overnight, but I'm just... that's
there's
just
a lot
me.
of logistics
this
there,
is the way I
right?
see it. Yes, of course
Yeah.
there is.
So here are the two flip sides to that.
Hold on, Eric. One more
Yeah, go
thing.
ahead.
I have to make a point, and it just popped in my head. It's no secret. Tesla has struggled with paint ever since the beginning. And a lot of that, the quality of the paint that they use, BASF, is excellent. But they're hampered by California laws in the application process. Their paint is thin. Any detailer that measures the paint will tell you that. The paint is thin. It's not as hard as everybody else. These are California laws. Now, Elon doesn't talk about this very much, but I can bet you that the paint problems that they've had really eats at him. So if he could get out from underneath some of those laws, which I don't have a problem with California wanting to have very strict environmental laws, that's fine. But car manufacturing, you need to get decent paint. And if it's going to hamper your process, we end up with cars with inferior paint. And let's face it, Tesla cars are great, but the paint could be a lot better. Yep. So anyways, I just had to say that.
Because they've said that this factory that's going to get built is ostensibly is Cybertruck only, right? So if they say there's a paint factory there, then the writing's on the wall.
Exactly.
Oh, good point.
Mm-hmm.
But Eric, you'd started there.
Well, remember, it could be in
go for it,
phases, right? Well, remember, it could be in phases, right? They could build Cybertruck phase 1, and then they go, because they can't just build a whole factory, equip it, and flip the switch, and they're done. This is a
No, but DJ's got a fantastic point. The minute something there says paint, that's going to be the giant flag. Like, hello.
Yeah, good point. Okay, Eric, go ahead.
All right. I know.
Where's Raj?
I need. All right, a second here. All right. So when I first heard of his tweet saying that he's sort of like washing his hands with California, a few thoughts immediately prompted in my head at the time. The first is that's almost a big FU to all the Fremont employees and all the California residents and all the Tesla owners in California who made Tesla what they are today. Right? It's not, I understand that he's looking forward a little bit, but that's this massive big FU to everyone who made Tesla what it is today. Right?
Yeah, that's not how you announce that.
Right. You don't just in a haphazard tweet because you're aggravated going, you know what, I'm done with this. I'm sick of this. Like the joke I made amongst our group is as if it's a father telling his kids, I'm leaving your mom for that other mom. And the kids are like, but you guys never fight. I don't understand. What's the problem? Right. So it's just weird place that we're in where he's like, you know what? I'm going to sue you. And when I'm done sue you, I'm just going to pack my bags and leave. Okay. See ya. It's weird. Because to me, like Trevor mentioned, some of the employees are going to move. I'm sorry. If I live in California and I have a family in Fremont or somewhere in the area where I can actually go to work in Fremont, I'm not supposed to go. So Elon's moving. I got to go too. Like, are you kidding me? Most of those thousands upon thousands of employees are not going anywhere. So now all of a sudden you're taking those workers and you're putting them out of work. Like that. And all of the different entities that rely on that income, all of the different businesses that rely on the revenue streams that come in from there, you're taking all of that away to go to the go big or go home state of Texas, right? Or wherever he may decide to go elsewhere. There's also the proximity factor of having, the factory in Nevada being, a matter of an hour's drive or so away from where they are in Fremont. So that's the second thing, is that tying connection of having them be close together. The third thing is, while I understand he's sort of sick and tired of California, by and large, with the way that they operate, is what made Tesla what they are today. I'm sorry, that's just a fact. If you started Tesla in Nevada, if you started in Texas, hell, had he been in Arizona from the outset, there's no way they would be what they are today. It would take them another decade at least to become the monstrosity that they are. It is such a naive comment to make, just kind of tossing, salt to the wind, to be like, you know what, we're just going to up and go. Because the other thing I will tell you this, you have no guarantees that you moving to Texas is going to be an improvement over what you have in California. There's no guarantees. And I can tell you that even if Texas kind of, dangles the carrot and says, if you come here, we'll allow your, direct sales here in Texas. You think cars don't get to Texas anyway?
Really? I'm
sorry, Texans. If you want to get a Tesla, you don't have to buy it from freaking Texas. Is it convenient to be able to buy it like right down the street in Austin, San Antonio, Dallas, etc.? Of course it is. Of course it is. I'm not going to deny that. But there's not a state in this country that I can't get a Tesla somehow, right?
Sure.
So I just looked at it that you're essentially going to be hurting the economy in a county that relies so much heavily on what that is that you do there. And then your entire business model may have to change in terms of production. Yeah, I mean, you can certainly build whatever you want in Texas. I mean, Texas is happy to build things. I mean, look at their football stadium with the Dallas Cowboys. I mean, if it's the biggest freaking thing in the world, right? Like, you think they play soccer there. No, they don't. The screens are bigger than my house. That's just how big the damn thing is. But no, there's just nothing good, I think, that comes of this decision. And maybe you're right, Ian, or I'm sorry, Trevor. Like, maybe there's sort of the writing's been on the wall for a long time. But like, you're using this time now in this crisis to make that announcement. So juvenile. Like, come on, dude. Like, now you got people who are worried about not only getting sick, but now going, am I out of work in 6 months? I don't understand. Stupid.
Yeah.
Well, I want to make sure that that viewers and listeners understand that I'm not trying to make light of the logistics of this and the personal aspect of this, of people moving and stuff. I was just looking, like, reading between the lines and looking at past history and in light of the comments and what they are looking at doing, to say that this is kind of like, okay, long term, I think this is what their plan is to exit California. That's all I'm saying.
No, I'm glad you said that, but at the same time, I feel like he's so focused on his narcissism is killing it. Like, if he had waited some time and said, we've had plans to maybe leave California, we think the time is right because we see our growth potential, we feel like the factory in Fremont, we've sort of outgrown it, and we now have to go into a bigger house. If you had made it that way, but he made it now like, I'm sick of this, I'm done with it, we're gone. Like, that negativity made it so much worse.
Yeah.
Fremont's a mess. If anybody's ever visited the Fremont factory, it's a mess. It's not designed for them and stuff. I mean, it is what it is.
Well,
but anyways, Raj, I want you to chime in here because you've had technical difficulties all night.
All night. So if you guys are tuning into the video, you would have seen me appear, disappear, not hear my voice. So before I get magically cut off somehow, I think I figured it out now.
Go, Raj, go.
No, I think it's really hard to pick one side here. And I think, everyone here, because I was able to hear all of you guys during my outage, everyone had good and valid points. My thoughts are this, and I've been trying to assemble them in my head. Number one, the way that it was gone about was very, very wrong. I completely agree on that. I think that, looking at a couple things, let's take, for example, the other auto manufacturers that are up and running. Fine. Okay, they're up and running. Is that unfair to Tesla? Sure. Is the governor saying one thing and then our local, Alameda County saying another? Yes. Does that have to be blasted on Twitter? Probably not, right? That could have been a phone call, pick up, have a conversation. These are people who are, whether, Elon thinks of it differently. These are people who have treated Tesla, very special. Like, that is a huge company here in Fremont with a ton of jobs, Fremont has given them a lot of leeway, a lot of, I mean, and I don't know all the tidbits of it, right? I could be completely wrong, but any business, the city is going to treat you a different way, right, than a normal citizen. You are bringing jobs. This is turning into a cat fest.
Now mine jumped up. I didn't go get him.
This
Everyone's
is
cuddling their cats right now.
Specatular.
I was feeling left out. I'm sorry. I hope I'm not interrupting Raj.
It's okay.
No,
This guy just
no.
demanded my attention tonight. Look at him. This is what he does.
I mean, I think that I think that we did go completely kind of haywire in the way that and I say we because I am in Fremont, and so I feel like I'm part of this. That the way we handled it, I mean, there was no need for calling out people specifically who's causing what. It's a simple phone call. Pick up the phone. Let's discuss the matter. Let's talk about what's going on, and then. Granted that they did a great job in China, right? And that, all right, great. We can take China and we could say, hey, look, we did this in China and we could do this in Fremont. Yes, no one's doubting that. But at the same time, China outside of Fremont was doing things that are far beyond what the United States is even doing, right? There was a video that just surfaced on what it would be like when your kids go back to school. And it was clearly in China. I mean, they were going through this spray measure. Their backpacks were getting sprayed. We would never do that. And so just that alone tells you that China is several leaps and bounds ahead of us. And so sometimes if we have to take extra precautions, then we have to take extra precautions. I think, Eric brought this up is that, just do what you got to do, but we got to be safe about this. And if the assemblyman or whoever is in charge of Alameda County is choosing to do things a little bit differently, let's have a civil, educated conversation about it before just yelling and screaming and kicking like a child. Granted, I have a lot of respect for you, Elon, but sometimes it's just like, let's just be a little bit more mature about how we handle things. And I'm sure we could have still fired up the factory on Monday if we sat down and had a boardroom discussion. I don't know.
Well, as I said, the moment you sue, it just slows everything down.
The suing part just really, that did not have to be.
It's in poor taste, right? Like his newborn baby, Alpha Centauri, would have had at least some better management of this entire thing. I mean,
X.
Alpha Centauri.
Oh wait, one more thing about the whole Texas part is I have a hard time believing that we would leave where we started, where we have the most support. Granted, so no offense to anybody anywhere that's rocking Teslas, but this is California is where the most EVs are. It's where the biggest tax rebates started. It's where it all birthed and began. And just we as Californians would take a little bit of offense to see him throw up the deuces and go to Texas. And I highly doubt with as great of a deal as you got on that factory that you would just give it up. So I would believe that the factory would still continue to evolve, and maybe their headquarters or maybe where Elon wanted to sleep at night would be in Texas.
So the factory, the factory is an interesting bit because part of why Tesla got that factory so cheap is because it couldn't be sold to other businesses. So Tesla would be right back in the same spot as Toyota and company were when they sold it to Texas. There's no way they're going to get the money on that factory that they have put into it. Not even close.
Right.
So I think probably the high likelihood, even before all this blew up, because let's face it, to produce Cybertruck, they're going to need another factory no matter what. Right.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
And so I thought what was going to happen anyhow before this all blew up was they're going to build a new factory somewhere. I thought that Model Y and Model 3 were also going to be produced at that new factory as well. I figured that probably S and X would stay legacy and stay in Fremont and forever be produced at Fremont for the rest of eternity. Because to the point of, I forget who it was that mentioned it, but I think it was you, Trev, like Fremont's setup, if you looked at the investor letter where they showed the path of a car through Fremont versus the path of a car through Gigafactory Shanghai, like I got to think that every engineer at Tesla cannot wait to have their own factory that they have planned from the get-go, so that mess is actually so much more efficient, and it's going to drive efficiency in the cars too, and reduce the cost of the cars, because you don't have all that extra complexity going all over the place in that factory.
It is something that I mentioned in my little blog post that I did, is the fact that Fremont is actually an impediment to Tesla being more efficient now, because they've run out of room. It's a hodgepodge mess since the 60s. I mean, all you have to do is look at the Shanghai factory and how it's built. I mean, ideally, the best production line you could actually have is a straight line. So, you know, if you look at Shanghai, the way they built that, I mean, that's ideal for them. And they're just going to keep iterating on that. I'm sure Berlin will have its own improvements, and whatever other ones that they're going to build in North America are going to have other improvements as well. So,
and those things came out of fruition because you had Fremont already was a structure you had to work within its boundaries. When you have the freedom to start from the ground up to build your own factory, you're going to build it based on the things you learned from your very first one. And that's just the way that it's been. So, I mean, DJ's right. Like, you're going to keep making it better as you go with every new factory you build. But at the same time, Fremont exists for a reason, because the progressive nature of California, which was like pleading and begging, we need to get our smog numbers down. Our pollution is terrible. We're killing our residents. That's why they're there. Like, nobody wanted to go in California because all these other automakers were like, we're going to go to very friendly states that really support automakers. They had all the bailouts and all that sort of stuff. And California's like, hi, we're the 5th largest economy in the world. We'll take care of you over here. And hello, electric vehicles. If it had not, like, if Tesla was just any other automaker and they were in California, they wouldn't be big at all. They'd be just like, oh, there's another one. They would be what Kia was at the outset of Kia in their first year, right? They just would be like, another drop in the bucket. But because they're an electric vehicle automaker, and they're changing everything about the way they're going to look at the market, and they're focusing on energy and all these different resources they have, California was the best state to do that. So just now to blindly abandon them is, you know,
So speaking of which, it brings up a point that I thought we might want to spend a couple of minutes on. What do you think this? I mean, obviously, when things are furloughed and people are losing jobs and stuff, what's the first thing that they stop doing? Buying cars, right? Tesla seems to be the only manufacturer of cars in North America that seems to be in a very good position, footing-wise, to be able to ride this out and actually come out looking really great. I mean, if you look at Ford, for example, they just posted a $2 billion loss, and going into the second and third quarter, they're expected to be hitting at least $5 billion worth of losses. So, and Ford has canceled their association with Rivian. So, you know, these manufacturers now are cutting back R&D. They're cutting back expenses. They're cutting back programs, and Tesla's investing in more. So, I don't know. At the end of the day, when Tesla comes out looking really great at the end of the day in a year or two, whatever, let's call it, you know, wait till a vaccine comes out, whatever, and things start picking up again. When people are looking at buying an EV, what are they going to buy? It's a Tesla, because it's the only thing out there that's really worth buying. And it's the only company that has multiple models ready to go. I mean, the COVID thing has certainly slowed down, I think, in some cases or some plans for the Cybertruck, only because they need to build a factory. But, I mean, that car is going to sell like crazy in the pickup market, I think, for a lot of people that really want that type of thing. I mean, looks aside, that's a discussion for another day. Poor Mark. Poor Mark Penn. Anyways.
Well,
sorry, not sorry.
Building on that, Trev, have a look at what's happening in China. I mean, their new car sales are going down through the floor right now. I mean, they're dropping dramatically, like serious double digits. Tesla numbers, on the other hand, rocket ride to the top, baby.
Exactly.
Well, in fairness, they're also one of the few companies who have a waiting list.
Right. Well, but why is that waiting list there? Obviously, there's people going, take my money, damn it. I mean,
no, but even before this all happened, like, I mean, in all fairness, like, if they're able to deliver cars now because the backlog in China has sort of now been moved up forward since they've reopened it. I mean, yeah, they're producing these cars and they're going to now deliver, and of course you can sell it, but the money isn't materialized until the actual signatures on the dotted line. So, but ideally, everyone, I mean, listen, Cybertruck reservation holders, you know, the semi, like, there's all these companies and all these individuals who have invested money in Tesla, and like, you have my deposits, you've got my stuff, I am waiting for this car, and maybe they're waiting longer for delivery because the car they actually have, the VIN they were assigned, is actually still technically stuck in Fremont somewhere. But yeah, like once those cars start delivering one by one, the cash flow is going to come flying in. But the people are just clamoring, already waiting. Like, hey, I've been waiting now 9 months. I'm going to have to wait a few more weeks. But the money's already there in waiting. They already have it reserved, waiting to hand it over to Tesla. But they're not spending on anything else.
Yeah, but the way I look at Tesla is they have unlimited potential to grow.
Yeah,
because there's just so many market segments that they get into.
So I would disagree a little bit on that, and from somebody that's going to be furloughed for a couple weeks. So personally, because I don't know if I'm going to be furloughed more after that, our family at least is taking a very wait and see. Like anytime we have extra money, it's getting socked away. Just because we don't, fortunately for me, my furlough, my company really is putting a value on being able to draw down accrual balances for paid time off. So we were allowed to use our paid time off for that. But I'm actually going to go into the negative for my paid time off. So at that point, I need to have that war chest, right? And I got to imagine, there are a lot of other folks out there that are like, hey, that $100 fully refundable deposit that I put down on that Cybertruck, that's out the window in this type of time. So even though they got the reservation down, that might not hold.
Well, I'm just glad that it's only $100 rather than say, $2,500
or $5,000, right? Yeah,
or whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
So, well, we'll have to wait and see what happens. But certainly interesting times. Any closing thoughts before we get into questions? Because we've only got about 5 or 6 or whatever I think that are interesting to talk about here.
I genuinely just want to know how you guys are doing.
I'm bored.
I miss going to the office. I miss my crew at the office terribly.
Yeah.
They're like my second family. I absolutely love that gang. Thankfully, none of them listen to the podcast, so they won't hear me blubbering about them because I don't, obviously, to their face. Who does that? But I really miss them terribly. Yeah, no, that's been tough. Really
I
tough.
think that's the number one thing. I miss hanging out with people and stuff. I know I was just talking to my wife. I mean, going to a nice sit-down restaurant would be nice.
Yeah.
Well, any restaurant. I told you guys before the show, with for me, I've got two children in school that I'm having to homeschool. Their teachers are developing a lesson plan that I'm having to execute, and working while trying to do that is tough. And then on top of that, that's my kids are kind of who I feel the worst for, because they can't go see any of their friends right now, and we can't go out to dinner, and we can't go out to a movie, we can't do anything. And so, I mean, it's fortunately, they got to stay with their grandparents for a week during this. My parents are the social distancing champions of the world, since 1995. And they won't hear this either, so I can say what I want about them. So we weren't too concerned about them possibly passing to my kids, and conversely, my kids haven't been anywhere, so we weren't too concerned about my kids passing to them, other than my wife working in an ER. So after being about 5-6 weeks of this, we felt pretty good about that and let them go ahead and hang out there. And it gave us a sanity break, because man, it was getting a little contentious in the household that everybody needed that break.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah, I finally saw my son after about 2 months. He's excited to go to college. He's supposed to start college, but it looks like that may not happen this year. Might have to skip a year. Another year.
It's overall just extremely hard. I think from my standpoint, it's just, with a 2.5-year-old, and then I'm working, my wife's working. So every evening it's like, hey, what's your tomorrow look like? Well, what meetings do you have? What calls do you have? And then I'm on a call, then she's watching the kid. If she's on a call, I'm watching the kid. Now, when we're both on calls, it's just forget about it. Now you got. I mean, today luckily I was on a call where they understood, and I was just like, hang on one second, let me just put on a movie for her, and let me come back to the call.
My daughter has joined so many conference calls with me, and she's a 6-month-old, so I feel that pain too.
Yeah.
Well, I just want to say, I want to give a shout out to teachers everywhere. My girlfriend is a teacher, and I was a former teacher myself. I have a lot of friends who have at least 1 or 2 children, and you hear almost the same response like the two of you do with your young kids, which is, I want to already go on vacation. I've been doing this for 6 hours, right? Like it's just one of those exhaustive measures of trying to educate your kids or at least keep them occupied enough while all at the same time balancing your work life and your love life with your spouses and your significant others. And that's a hard thing to do. But now imagine teachers doing this with 15, 20, 40 kids in some cases. My largest class was 44 students in a high school class.
Whoa.
Right. I mean, that's Florida for you. We had like a class. we passed a law years ago to like limit class sizes, and that didn't matter.
It was a mere suggestion.
Yeah. So I can tell you that teachers everywhere are, even now with virtual, there's a lot of concerns. A lot of people are saying like we're seeing colleges now saying, yeah, the fall semester is going to be virtual. Like they're just blankly saying it now, already planning that. So I will say I think the hardest thing for many of us, myself included, is I try not to follow the news religiously as much anymore. I'm really not on Twitter. I'm not on Facebook. I'm trying to avoid all social media just because there's going to be two reactions. One, I'll find something funny and I'll laugh at it. But around that little snippet of humor is just a pile of shit. Right. It's just a whole lot of things that I'm like, it's just a lot to bear. And I can't imagine for even a second what it must be like for a young parent to have a child at home who normally would wake up 6 o'clock in the morning, get dressed, get on the school bus, go be with their friends for the day, come home at 3, 4 in the afternoon. How was your day? Let's do your homework. Let's do your play thing. Let's do your reading, whatever it is. And then brush your teeth, go to bed, and then we'll repeat tomorrow. No, every day is a Saturday. So, but now at the same time, I have to be the person to help you do your homework and make sure you're sitting down for your reading and everything else. So it's, and then to DJ and his wife, like to be in those professions, that has to be a nerve-wracking thing where you might go and not know, am I going to be furloughed today? Am I going to be sick today? I mean, there's just, and seeing everyone else sort of have that same euphoric experience or trauma. So we're all feeling it. I'm someone who's sort of better suited for being at home all the time. I've been working from home a lot in the jobs I've had over the years. Thankfully in technology, I can work remote quite a bit.
That's the dirty secret of IT.
Yeah, well, and I'll tell you, DJ, I'm of the mindset where I'm a social introvert. I love being around friends and my family and being out and doing fun stuff, but I am equally comfortable being at home by myself. But I like having a balance. Right now, it's just like
you don't have a choice now.
Yeah. Right. Now there's no choice. So it's hard, but I like to ask this question of my guys every show, just because I want to make sure we're all, because it's okay to not be okay. It's okay to talk about it. It's okay to let someone know that, yeah, right now I'm having a rough day today. Tomorrow hopefully will be a better one. I think talking about it, acknowledging it and talking about it is always good. So just a quick PSA, if you're out there and you do need help, there are resources available for you. I think it's NMLA or something. There's some organization that you can kind of contact if you need help or someone to talk to if you're feeling stressed out. So just reach out to people. That's all.
Cool. Well, we certainly hope that all of our viewers and listeners are doing well as well. I mean, we'd love to hear from everybody, but yeah, we can't always do that. Mm-hmm. Well, I think it's time. We've been talking for just over an hour now, so it's time to get in. We only have a handful of questions this week. I guess people are don't have quite as many questions here. Let me see here. The first question comes from Surrey. He says, do you guys think about the possibility of Tesla moving to Texas? Could the car dealership laws change to allow Tesla to sell to Texas? And yes, we referred to that earlier in the show there today. That is definitely a carrot that they would want to hold over. I mean, the Texas legislature only meets every 2 years. So Tesla only has a chance every 2 years to go in there and just rattle some cages and stuff. So hopefully, I don't know, is this year one of the years they're supposed to meet? I forget now. I have to double check. But yeah, it would be nice if it just kind of coincided. They could, finally put that thing to bed and then announce some kind of factory. He did say that he was hoping to announce a factory probably within the next month, but maybe 3, definitely
1 month,
6.
maybe 3 months, definitely.
Yeah, 6 months, definitely. All right. Let's see here. Next question comes from Dave. He says, if FSD is purchased, does it stay with the car when it's sold?
Supposed to.
Well, it's supposed to. You're buying a feature. You're buying an option on the car. It's a feature of the car, not you. It doesn't stay with your account. I know a lot of people.
But mind you, autopilot for a lot of cars was taken off once it transferred hands.
Yes. So if it goes back to Tesla does whatever they want to it at that point, which I think is completely within their right to do that.
Yep.
But if it's a private sale, it stays with the car.
Remember early Model S's 40 kilowatt hour battery packs were actually 60s. They were software locked. When Tesla took them in on trades or whatever, they unlocked them. So
More
Tesla
money.
Tesla can do what they want. All right. Let's see here. Next question comes from Aurelio. This one might be for Ian. He says, is there any special tires that fit on Teslas, or do any wheel work?
How much time do you have, Ian?
Wow. Well, that answer can be very short or very long, but let's try and split the difference. Depends, first of all, which Tesla we're talking about. The S and the X are a little bit harder because they have a slightly more unusual bolt pattern, and they're heavy, so they need some fairly high load rated wheels. If we talk about Model 3 and to some extent Model Y, they have a super common bolt pattern, and they're not too bad. Model 3 is really the easiest to fit. It doesn't have any really crazy weight requirements. It's got a very normal offset. So a lot of off-the-shelf aftermarket wheels work on the car correctly. The Model Y does have a much higher load requirement, so you got to watch the load rating of the wheel. That applies to all of the standard versions of the car. If we talk about the performance Model 3, that is its own bananas thing with this crazy stepped hub. And I won't even get into that. We talk about it in the video that we did when I got my car that Trev came down and filmed when we tried to go for the 0 to 60 run. And I show exactly what's weird about it. And you need wheels that are machined like the original Tesla wheel that either have a little relief in the back for the step, or you need special spacers or centering rings that can adapt for that. So if you have a performance Model 3, very few wheels off the shelf will work. You need a special solution. Standard Model 3, lots of stuff works. Y, not too bad. S and X, be very, very careful. You need wheels that are really specially engineered for them. Would be about as brief as I could make that.
Please check our forum, TeslaOwnersOnline.com. Down at the bottom, we have vendors and sponsors. Get Your Wheels, T-Sport Line, Unplugged Performance, just to name 3 of them that sell Tesla-specific wheels for whatever car that you want. So
I'd add to that for sure. Definitely make sure you're getting a wheel that's meant for an EV, because otherwise that range hit that you're going to take on that possibly could be rough.
Oh yeah, it's a whole other category, I think. I mean, if we talk about the aerodynamic advantages like the Tesla Aero Cap, we developed our fast EV to replicate that result. And exactly to DJ's point, it makes a big difference. You could lose 5% of your range if you're comparing it to the Aero Cap if you put just any old standard alloy on there. So that's something else to think about for sure.
I will mention the 0G wheels. I haven't really noticed any difference between those and the OEMs. I mean, the 1 pound difference. Aerodynamics, haven't noticed anything really.
But just to point out, Trev has a performance car that's got the stilettos, which is not a super aerodynamic wheel to begin with, so you shouldn't notice a big difference there. But I'm talking for anybody who's got an aero wheel on a Model 3. If you change it for anything else, well, it's the same as if you take your aero cap off, right? All of a sudden you got a plain Y-spoke wheel under there. So yeah, it definitely makes a difference.
Okay. I saw more than a few people complaining that when they, the referral program winners, they got those 0Gs and threw them on there, and they're like, "Holy crap! What happened to my range?"
Kyle did one from Out of Spec Motoring. There, he got the reels and he put it on his car and did a much longer test than I did. And he says, "Yeah, they're pretty thirsty, but really no different than the 20-inch OEM stilettos that come with the car." So
yeah, it'd be the same if you take any 18 off with the aero cap and throw on any performance, wheel and tire and 20-inch. You're gonna for sure you're gonna see it.
They sure look nice though.
Oh, they're beautiful.
Gorgeous.
All right, next question comes from Jim. He says, if I purchase aftermarket wheels and get a flat tire, is Tesla service going to respond and replace it with one of theirs?
Yeah, that one, as a matter of fact, I've seen people run across this, and what seems to happen is they will make you sign a waiver before they perform any service in the car. As a matter of fact, if you go into the dealership with any aftermarket wheel on your car for any kind of service that requires them to remove the wheel, so whether it's mobile service, whether it's being done at a service center, they will have you sign a waiver saying they're not responsible for any damage, because they have to, protect themselves. There's obviously some crazy aftermarket setups with all sorts of goofy,
It's called CYA, right?
Yeah, exactly. Different types of lug nuts and things, and they can get, so I sort of understand why they do that, but just by the same token, keep your eye and make sure that they don't go at it with the 6-foot, bar and do all sorts of, not that, I think for the most part, Tesla is exceptional with their service procedures. They're very, very careful, but just, they will make you sign a waiver, be aware, but I don't see any reason why they wouldn't be able to give you the loaner one to get the car going.
All right. Let's see here. Next question comes from Raphael. It says, given reports of USB-C and wireless charging in the new Chinese Model 3s, could both features make their way stateside? Well, we kind of talked about that early in the show. I think it's just a matter of time. as to when that will happen. It makes total
Inevitable.
sense for Tesla to do that. Absolutely.
USB-C
we've
master
said-
race.
USB-C is awesome.
Yeah,
All
now,
right,
if only these guys could get on board now.
Yeah, I know. Just yeah, exactly. We'll see. I'm waiting for the new iPhone. If the rumors are true, it's looking like a pretty solid upgrade for me this year. Anyways, next question comes from Tim. I've read about several other owners of Model 3s reporting they have had their hardware 3 upgraded, completed by mobile service. Is this now possible?
Really?
I'm not aware of that.
I did see a Twitter report, for what it's worth, of a couple people saying that they got it done in their driveway. I know early on that was a service center and sometimes a multiple day situation, but I've seen more than a couple reports myself that people got it done in the driveway.
They probably have a procedure now because early on, because compared to the S and the X doing the hardware upgrade, because it's not a liquid cooled. The autopilot computer is not liquid cooled. There's potential of spillage and stuff. So maybe they have developed some kind of procedure now. So I don't know. Ask Tesla service, see what they say.
Yeah, the other big thing that I heard is that now what they're doing is they're preloading the software on the computer, so that now you don't have to download it.
Yeah,
and so now
that was a
they can
big
do it
time
mobile.
sink for them. Yeah.
But I think it just depends on the service center.
All right. Well, here's something interesting, completely off topic. Jack, he says, which YouTube channels other than your own are amongst your favorites?
Oh man, I got so many.
I
am all right. I like geeking out and stuff. So the entire family of Vsauce channels are awesome. Number File is up there because I'm a math geek. The NFL Throwback channel, which is great. I like watching old NFL highlights. Gosh, what else? I banned this guy named Raj. I can't stand I'm kidding, of course. I just blocked him. Is there anything else like that? No, to me, it's more just if it's anything either educational, science-based, like TED Talks are always also really good to watch. But yeah, anything that's informative and fun. Oh, and also the entire family of DFTBA. So Sideshow, I can't think of the other ones, but yeah, all of the Hank and John Green stuff is also the Vlog Brothers, that sort of thing is also my jam.
How about you, Ian?
I've never been a huge YouTube consumer. I guess that's just because I'm the old fogey here on the show. It's not my first go-to. It's like I still actually have cable that I pay for. I know it's
what, like Betamax?
Yeah.
Wait, what?
I got one. I got 2 of those actually.
A cable cutter?
Look on that background. Is there any tapes back there?
Yeah. Oh, I got a whole wall of VHSs over there. No
Yes,
lie.
he
I'll show
does.
you one day.
His back has got tape on it.
There you go. That too.
God.
But
you, Rod?
two that I've been watching a lot of lately. Well, first of all, shout out to all of my friends who have amazing Tesla YouTube channels. Like we have our man Raj right here in our presence, who has a fantastic channel. We have Mr. Bodner, Tesla Tunity, Teslatino. I mean, there's so many good Tesla channels out there now. It's hard to know what to watch anymore. But 2 that I've kind of been binging on lately, just because I have a little extra time at home, is Jay Leno's Garage, which I absolutely adore.
We should be seeing the Cybertruck one pretty soon, right?
Yeah. Yes,
Around
it's
about
out.
the 20th?
It's out.
Season premiere was May 20th, I thought, but they didn't say when Cybertruck was
I heard it was. Yeah, I heard it was around the 20th.
I think there's a little teaser one already that's kind of circulating on that, if I'm not mistaken. Cool. But yeah, I love Jay Leno because he is me with money. That's really all it is, and a lot more hair. That's all it is. Because
he's funny.
Glorious hair.
Yes, he has glorious hair. Yes, I'm very envious of his hair. But I mean, because he gets it. Like, I mean, he loves old cars. He loves the history. He has this huge, wide-ranging taste in old cars and motorcycles. And yet he understands the need to electrify and that the future is, EVs. And he fully embraces. I mean, he's had Teslas now for years. So he gets that part of it too. So he's one of my heroes for sure. And another guy that I just stumbled onto and I absolutely adore is Mark Felton Productions. And you would only know that name if you're a history buff. He does amazing video stories, mostly centered around World War II, like military and aviation technology and stuff like that.
I know which one you're talking about.
He digs up the most crazy, insane stories. And I mean, I have like 600 military books behind me, okay, that I've read. And I mean, he pulls out new stories I've never heard of that are just like really wild, crazy stuff. So yeah, those are the ones I've been having fun with.
All right, Raj, since you're down in that corner, how about you?
All right. So while we were talking, I just brought up my YouTube because I'm like,
I'm doing the same thing because I can't remember.
opposed to Ian, I'm a huge consumer, so I've got things kind of all over the place. Let's see. I'll just call out some of them. So, True Crime Daily. I'm really into like those kind of like weird, like multi-story, oh, this person and what happened and they were found dead. And I don't know. It's just one of those weird things to kind of binge on. There's a lot of things that I like to watch that just like turn on. It doesn't need 100% brain power, but like I can work on other stuff and it's on in the background. If something catches my attention, I look up and pay attention for a little bit. That's why I watch also a bunch of garbage TV too. But I also like a lot of cinematography channels. People like Peter McKinnon, Trev has met with Maddie. These guys have like awesome stuff. They're really good at photo and video and stuff like that. Like a lot of tech stuff. So NKBHD, Casey Neistat with his whole style. The First We Feast channel with the Hot Wing Challenge.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, and I'm trying to sort through all the Tesla stuff out of there. But like, let's see, what else do we have? Dadverb, good channel on like new parents. He covers like all the latest like strollers and things like that. God, a lot of tech channels. Oh, Jesse Wellington from Philadelphia. He did a lot of like cinematography stuff as well. But as my daughter tries to break down the door here,
my cat's been all over me tonight.
Yeah, yeah.
Mine's taking up residence in the background.
Yeah, I see him there. Crackers.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of some of the key call outs there.
Would you say you have over 100 subscriptions on YouTube? The channels you follow?
Yes.
Wow. Oh my
That's
god.
a lot.
Now
That's Betty Ford clinic stuff, dude.
So here's the difference. I have a personal login, and then it allowed me to create a brand login. So here's the challenge: is that I love consuming it on the big screen, so I'll always watch it on the TV, and on there it only allows you to log in with your primary YouTube subscription, which is not my brand subscription. But then on my mobile devices and everything like that, I'm logged into my brand subscription. So now I'm getting this mix of two subscription worlds, and it's just like really messing me up. And so I've got now most of my Tesla stuff is on my brand subscription channel, and it's just it's a mess. I need to figure out a way to clean it up. But yeah, and
basically
some things people are not uploading.
Yeah,
I like how basically that means you're like two identities. Like there's the casual, like I just woke up on Saturday with waffles in my breakfast for bed. Like, hi, I'm Raj, and then there's your that's one subscription list, and then the other one's like, hello, ladies, my name is Raj.
Oh man, well, yeah. Now, see, I have this YouTube open. I can't.
We lost him. He's gone, man.
Well, as you like start doing it all, YouTube gets smarter and it knows what you're interested in.
Oh,
and so that damn discovery screen, it's like I can't even tell you what just popped up. It was just like, oh, and I wanted to click on it and watch it right now. I'm like, dude, stop! I'm in a podcast right now. Like, just leave me alone. Don't discover me right now.
Awesome.
But yeah, it's an endless pit hole.
Thanks
My
for
wife
meeting
would be
me,
like,
Cracker.
"Oh, you got sucked
it's a
in by
rat hole.
YouTube, didn't you?" And I'm like, "Yeah."
How about you, DJ? What are you watching these days?
So me and Ian are kindred spirits because I watch pretty much no YouTube. I am a podcast guy all the way. Please don't mute me again, Cracker. So I'll give you a couple podcasts because I just am not on the YouTubes really at all, other than for the show, and that's about it. But to your point about the dual personalities, so I don't follow anything with my brand channel. That's specifically for publishing the show, and that's it. And then my personal channel is the one where I follow everything, right? Whatever I do. So actually, you probably saw me like one of the TOO videos today, Trev, because I was looking at.
I did see that comment. Thank you.
Looking back at some of the other ones, and yeah, it's so my podcast lineup, kind of to the point of being very tech heavy. So the two Tesla podcasts I'll call out. I'm sure most people are probably listening to these anyway. Ryan's Ride the Lightning and the Talking Tesla podcast. Those are my go-tos that I listen to on a daily basis, weekly basis. And then whenever the Tesla show decides to actually put something out, love listening to them. Mm-hmm. But other than the Tesla stuff, being an IT security geek, that's kind of what's loaded down a little bit. I've got Security Now with Steve Gibson and Beers with Talos are my go-tos for that. And then I guess kind of the more esoteric podcast I've got is a podcast called Colin's Last Stand. If you in the video game world at all, Colin Moriarty is a guy that's was started at IGN along with a few folks. They split off and made Kind of Funny. They had a little tiff, and he split off on his own thing. And he's been doing some really interesting stuff on his own, which I've been super enjoying. So that's pretty much it. Oh, one last thing, Mr. Still doing cable. I do listen to the Cord Killers podcast with oh geez, I'm blanking on the host now. Oh, this is terrible. Oh God. I can't. Tom Merritt and Brian Brushwood. Sorry.
Brian Brushwood is awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. Tom Merritt's a former Tech TV anchor. Brian Brushwood. I know he's done other things, but I was not aware of him before this. So definitely an awesome show for if you like cutting the cord and knowing how to cut the cord and where to watch things and what the hardware to watch on. They're a cool show. So that's my list.
DJ,
awesome.
How old is your eldest?
10. Turned 10 on the 5th.
So are they watching YouTube?
So he is a little bit. He has a limited amount of YouTube that we let him watch. And he is all about Zach Scott games and all about he would be mortified if I don't. Pat and Jen, that's the other one that we let him watch all the time. That's his go-to. So yep.
Cool. That was interesting.
Yeah, the kids. Let me see here. I guess my turn. What do I
listen
you're up.
To?
Well, the usual Tesla stuff that I listen to, but not. I mean, when you have your own channel, you don't spend as much time watching the other stuff because you concentrate on building your brand and stuff. But let me see here. Let me see. Who do I watch? AVE, fellow Canadian, funny as hell. Never shows his face, but he's got the funniest sayings. Real smart guy. Got a little real thing going on. He builds all kinds of stuff in his house, and he does tool reviews. But funny guy. Let's see here. Anything by Adam Savage. I like watching Adam.
We're binge watching all of Mythbusters right now. My kids love Mythbusters.
Yeah, I love Mythbusters
Fantastic
too.
show.
Yeah. Let's see here. I'm very much like Raj. I watch anything that Maddie or Peter do. It's just, it's excellent cinematography. You learn a lot of little techniques and stuff. King Tut's Pro is another one that I like to watch. He has very short little snippets on how to use Final Cut Pro. Lots of really great tips in there. Always trying to up my game as far as that's concerned. Guilty pleasures. I like to watch Carlin Furs. He's crazy. The stuff he builds. He's a lot of fun. Let me see here. Matthias Wandel, fellow Canadian. Just a brilliant guy working, just building all kinds of stuff, woodworking. Just fantastic guy. All kinds of different things that he does. Let me see here. What else? If I want a good laugh, watch Rich Rebuilds. He's got some good stuff too.
Yeah.
I do enjoy me some Rich Rebuilds.
Yeah, just the usual.
I don't
stuff
subscribe
like
to
that.
him, but I pick him up on his Twitter feed and I'll go watch him occasionally.
Yeah, he's pretty funny that way. So let me see here. What else here? Oh, a couple others. Luke Towan, excellent model builder. I don't do models anymore, but in my teenage years used to do models. He's an excellent builder. Same thing with another one called Plasmo. Plasmo is I think he's Czechoslovakian. Oh my God. I've never seen a guy do models like this does. He is an expert at painting and weathering and stuff. His stuff looks photographic. It's amazing. I don't know. I have a bunch of other esoteric stuff that's not really worth mentioning and stuff, but that's kind of what I listen to. And then I have a monthly subscription to Audible, so I usually get an audiobook of some form, whatever, and try to plow through it as best I can.
I'm in the Audible camp.
Yeah.
And I
mean,
myself...
when I'm in my car, I listen to podcasts and audiobooks. That's pretty much it. Never the radio. Spotify once in a while. I can't stand the radio. It's just the commercials and junk. Ugh.
We kind of bonded a little bit about that when I was up there visiting you the one time. We found out that, hey, we're the kind of the same guy there. It's either podcast or Audible, and my family hates me for it. One shout out, because it started on YouTube, but then we discovered it late, and I believe is Crave a Canadian service, if I remember right?
Crave, yes, it is.
Yeah. So and then Hulu got it, and I'm sure you Canadians probably know what I'm talking about. It's Letterkenny. Oh god,
oh my god,
so much. Letterkenny. If you have never watched Letterkenny, do yourself a favor and please go watch Letterkenny. It is the most hilarious thing you will have ever watched.
When I was stuck with pneumonia at my buddy's place in Calgary on the way out for the lightning run, I'd seen snippets of the show, but I've never actually sat down and watched. She's like, "Bro, you got to watch the show." So we just mainlined it like 3 nights in a row. I was killing myself, and like my throat's sore, and like I can't breathe. I'm like, there's like snot coming out everywhere, but like I was dying. The show's amazing. It's brilliant.
My wife showed me, what was it, the second or third episode? My wife's sitting next to me right now, and I was hooked.
Yeah, it's brilliant.
You guys familiar with the episode of Friends where Joey and Chandler come across, I think it's in Monica's apartment, and I'm gonna use this as PG-13 as I can, that the porn channel came in unscrambled, and they were actually watching free porn, and they were afraid to like turn off the TV because it might just like go away. A couple days ago, I'm in my car heading out to work in the morning, and I had Pandora playing, and there was an ad that came up. You can get like an hour of free listening with no advertisements, and I didn't get a chance to click the ad when it went away. So like I locked my screen locked, and next thing you know, like I unlocked it, the ad was gone. I was like, crap, right? Since then, I don't know what it is. I don't have Pandora One where you get the ad free. I've had 0 ads since then. That was Monday. It's now Thursday, so I'm afraid to like shut the app down.
Hopefully it doesn't go Office Space and they fix the glitch on you.
I don't know. Listen,
don't say anything about go away.
but I will tell you that I have, it's really weird. So I do 2 podcasts. Shameless plug. One of mine, if you're watching on YouTube, the link is down there. It's anchor.fm/CMC pod. 10-minute podcast, daily episodes, starts back on Monday. Thanks for listening. So I don't listen to podcasts. I have a hard time really being like DJ. Like I know it was so Raj will have like his YouTube videos sort of on the big screen, and like every once in a while like kind of looks at it. I want to give podcast creators all the attention I can give them. Like if you're going to put out a podcast that's like 30, 40 minutes, I want to listen to everything you have to say. And I feel like a lot of times when I'm driving or kind of doing stuff for work, I really can't give it that undivided attention. So usually I'll listen to podcasts while laying in bed, sort of like winding down from the day, and I'll listen to it even sometimes in chunks, 10, 15 minutes at a time, because I want to give that podcast all my attention. I feel like it's only as a creator of content, I want to give them that same due respect. So usually if I don't listen to podcasts, it's either my Spotify playlist, my Pandora playlist, or it's just watching meandering YouTube videos, getting caught in the funnel spiral that is YouTube. Like, oh, here's a suggestion for that video. Like, I'll watch that. Next thing you know, it's like 6 days have gone by. I haven't shaved or showered. I think I've lost 6 pounds. So yeah, I understand.
Cool. Well, let's do a lightning round here because we've been talking for an hour and a half. So let's do a lightning round of whatever you guys want to plug. Eric, you already kind of did there. We'll listen to his podcast there. Call Me Curious. Awesome.
Thank you very much. Find me on Twitter. The handle is ECFix, ECFIX. I'm not on Twitter much, but believe me, I am exist. It's true. Also, Call Me Curious podcast, 10-minute episodes. It's at 10 minutes daily, Monday through Friday. Format might change. Maybe I might do a DJ Monday, Wednesday, Friday sort of experience, but for now, it is daily, Monday through Friday, 10-minute episodes. Like, subscribe, available on every platform you can listen to. TuneIn, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, everywhere. It's everywhere. So
awesome.
Find it, like it, listen.
All right, Ian, you're up.
All right. Well, you can find me on Twitter. Handle is at Ian Pavelko, Tesla Owners Online. You can find me under the handle Mad Hungarian if you have any tech questions. Often wheels and tires is what I'm called upon to answer. If you're looking for some Tesla wear, I have my Mad Hungarian Evolve Wear shirts, the little logo with the evolving caveman and a few other different designs I'm working on. You can find that at teespring.com and just look up, once you're on the site, Mad Hungarian Evolve Wear, you'll find my online shop. And finally, a little shout out for those of you who might be interested in obtaining a set of the glorious 0G wheels that are coming through the referral program with the Michelin Pilot Sport 4 tires. I have a set of those I'm picking up tomorrow. They're going to be for sale.
Oh, you're not keeping them. Okay.
No,
Damn you guys.
I only have 17 sets.
Raj is still waiting for his.
Let's say he makes his own wheels, right?
Yeah. I mean, and you know what? The ultimate tribute I can give to Tesla is these things are so stunningly beautiful. Even though I have access to unlimited styles of wheels, I was very borderline about wanting to sell them. They're just such gorgeous.
Well, I'm selling mine whenever I get them. So
all right, mine is supposed to be in tomorrow. They gave me an appointment for 8:45 tomorrow morning to go pick them up. They haven't yet.
I mean, you drive a performance car, so it makes sense. Me, who has an 18-inch Aero wheels, like I'm not going to the 20s and not happening.
No.
That's understandable. That's understandable. Cool. So
well, hit up Ian if you want a set of those things, and you're in the Montreal, Quebec area. Just
anywhere in Canada, man. I've got a giant machine at work that ships wheels, so I can send them anywhere. You know?
Okay, well, there you go. Hit them up. Okay, Raj, you're up next, buddy. Quick.
Tesla Raj. That's what it is. YouTube.com/Tesla Raj, and on all social medias, it's Tesla_Raj. Any questions? Anything you want to know? Let me know. And by the way, regarding those wheels, I will say, because Canada always gets shafted on everything, I'm glad that the Canadians got their wheels.
Well, thank you, Raj.
Yeah, we seem to get them a little faster than everybody else for some
reason. Which is really weird. Yeah,
that was very weird. Well, we appreciate you having on the show, Raj. I apologize on your behalf, anyways, for the technical difficulties. We'll get it sorted out next time. We'll have you on again. All right, DJ, you're our special guest tonight. What do you want to plug? Whatever you'd like, buddy.
Well, I guess I have to go with the show. Tesla Tidbits is the name of the show. You can find me on pretty much any podcast service out there. Please let me know if you can't find me on a podcast service. I will try and get myself on there. But I think I got all the bases covered. There is a YouTube channel, youtube.com/Tesla Tidbits as well. It's all one word. The show goes up as a static image and the show is there. But I do occasionally do a tidbits from the road, or I might have some interviews coming up possibly that might be video. It depends on if the interviewee wants to do the video or not. But you can see my lovely, it's been a minute, but you can see my lovely trip to Canada to go visit Trev. It's been a year and a half ago now. It's been a minute.
Yeah.
But I don't do too much video. Most of it's completely audio only format. Try to get a show out every Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Shout out to everybody out there that tries to do a daily podcast, because that shit is hard, yo. For the 5-ish minutes that I put out, there's probably a good 4 hours of production thrown into that for that little 5 minutes of video. And especially with the challenge of having a family and small children and getting them to bed, usually that time does not start until at least 10 p.m. And so that's that. But please check out the channel, the show. I would appreciate it very, very much.
All right, make sure you subscribe to all these guys' stuff, man. Well, I want to say thank you for everybody for joining in. I know the show has been a little bit longer, but hey, what else are you going to be doing other than listening to us? Well, you can follow me on Twitter.
Haircut.
Yeah, right. So you can follow me on Twitter if you want. The handle's Tesla Owners Online. Check out the forum, teslaownersonline.com. You can follow me there if you want. The handle's TrevP. And so once again, thanks for joining in with us and stuff. I know it's a little bit long, but hey, it's all fun and games. And we'll see you on the next one. Thanks for watching and listening. We'll see you next time. See you guys.
Bonsoir tout le monde.
Wash your hands.